All rise for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you all for attending. Start out tonight's meeting with the education report. Ms. Gregory and Mr. Leiker will be here to share LPS goals for 2021, 2020, and 2021 activities for the school year.
Looks like Miss Gregory's flying solo tonight.
Yeah, you just get Mrs. Gregory tonight, so. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
We sure can. Perfect. Well, thank you. At Lawrenceburg Primary School, remember, we are learning how to be learners. So everything that we do is geared towards that. We have three main goals this year that we've been really working on. The first is our dual language immersion program. Second is the area of reading, and number three is social emotional learning. For goal number one, our dual language immersion, we have worked to continue our K1 classrooms. We've added that second grade classroom, and we are continuing to monitor our students' progress. I just want to remind you of our DLI teams. We have for kindergarten, first and second grade, as these teachers and IAs are doing a fabulous job with our students and make it a fun learning environment to come to every single day. Some DLI news that we have. First, our students are doing amazing. If you would go in and see the different things that are happening at each level, it is unbelievable. Second graders, I've had the opportunity to hear them. You should hear how fluently we have students reading in English and in Spanish in those classrooms, and they also comprehend what they're doing. A lot of times, Mrs. Gregory doesn't know what the teacher is always saying, but they do exactly what the teacher is. When she says something, they're moving and going. One of the fun things I've got to see in first grade is Senior Nuna, the verb of be, it's boring in English. Well, it's pretty boring in Spanish too. So he has come up with a rap song that he found music, he has rapped, the kids, they love it, and they all know the verb of be because of that. So it's super fun. If he's doing it in his classroom and the classroom that he also teaches Spanish to, hears it, Mrs. Lovell has a hard time keeping them focused until that music is over because they want to do it too. Just amazing things. Our kindergartners, you're going to see a little clip here in just a moment of something that's happening in kindergarten, and they're doing a fabulous job as well. We're working hard to hire a kindergarten and third grade teacher. I think we're going to approve a kindergarten teacher hopefully this evening, and working for that on a third grade teacher as well. Mrs. Lorton came over and spent a whole morning at LPS and got to see what we do in kindergarten, first and second grade in those classrooms, and really came away with an understanding so that she's ready for that third grade English transition next year. And then to help the Central Elementary School staff be ready for that, as it's going to be new to their school, our LPS DLI team went over and met with the CES staff at our last e-learning day. And all of those things have really helped to continue on that K-5 journey that we are on for DLI.
And with DLI, I'll just add a note and I'll ask Mrs. Spade that when we get to her at the end of the meeting, she'll be able to share and expand a little bit more. She started to put some videos and stuff onto our website, so it'll be a link for those that want to be able to see students in action and see pictures and things. So I'll have her share a little bit about that later on.
And we're working on something for our DLI, for our kindergarten roundup coming up too, and that's probably going to be part of that. Mr. Geely, if you'll just, in just a second, click that. We won't listen to the whole thing, but just a short version. This really shows a bridging activity that our ladies and teachers try to do. This is in kindergarten. We learned, it was Clifford the Big Red Dog's birthday. Hoy vamos a leer libros en español y también en inglés. ¿Están listos? bebé y tengo un perro.
I am Elizabeth, and I have a dog.
Mi perro es muy grande y colorado.
My dog is a big red dog.
And they go on and back and forth like that. We do lots of activities where, as a culminating activity, we are bridging the English and the Spanish so that we help the students to make those connections. And this is just one example of a way that they have done that in kindergarten. Our second goal is reading. So we are, I think, in our second year of our reading program. We utilize AIMSWeb Plus as a benchmark for the beginning, middle, and end of the year. That information we take to help us decide what RTI, response to intervention group, that our students need to be in, a tier 1, 2, or 3. 1 is the top, it's where you want to be, and tier 2 would be someone who's a little behind. Tier 3 is someone who is well below and needs some intensive interventions. One of the things that we use for that is Orton Gillingham. It's a great phonics-based research program that we use to help our students. Most of my K1 teachers are trained. We have 2 that aren't, and I have two of my second grade teachers, and most of them are the ones who haven't been trained are being trained right now. They have school on Monday nights. They're over at the primary school right now in Orton Gillingham class from 5:30 to 8:30. So by the end of May, all of my teachers will be Orton Gillingham trained. And it is one of the research-based strategies that we use also for the dyslexia law compliance that we have to do at K2 schools. So I just want to share with you the data because we were so excited. For kindergarten, if you look at those, the beginning of the year, we had 84 students in red, 23 in yellow, and 31 in green. And we want more to be in green. At the middle of the year, when we took our second Ames web test in the area of reading, and this is all the components that we test in reading, we had 61 students in green, 27 students in yellow, and 46 students in red. So you can see that we had a lot of improvement. The really neat thing, if you look at that red group, there was 84 at the beginning of the year. Middle of the year, we cut that number in half. 42 students are now in red. Out of those 84 students, 19 moved to yellow and 21 moved to green. So we're super excited with that progress, and we can't wait to see what happens in the spring as we continue with our interventions and the great instruction that's happening at the primary school. And I just have this in for each of the grade levels, kindergarten and math. And math tends to be a stronger subject area for us at the primary school in each of the grade levels. But they did a great job in kindergarten. You can see those numbers and that green really going up. In reading for first grade, it was exciting. We had 80 students in green, in red that first fall, and then we are down to 35. So we went from 80 students in red to 35 students in red from fall to winter. Math, we really like the math one. It looks really good. A little bit of red, a lot of green. And our second graders are making great gains too, as some of theirs transitions and they do some different things in helping them to prepare for that third grade high read retest. So we're really excited about the data, and again, excited to see where that goes. Our third goal is social emotional learning. We continue to do minds in motion and in our kindergarten classrooms every single day, and all of our students do that in PE. It's the way they start their day. It really helps them to focus on getting that right and left brain working together. We continue to monitor our students Mrs. Mormon has been key in this year. She's really done a lot of things to help families get resources that they need for themselves, for their students. One of the things that we do is we give 87 snack packs away every week. We send home with students through two organizations. We have received a Free Store Food Bank grant. We get 42 power packs, and we do from the clearinghouse 45 grab and goes, which we provide each and every week to students in our school. So we're happy to do that, and she is instrumental in making that happen. And we continue to look at all the ways that we can help our students to just be socially and emotionally ready for learning at school as well. So just a few more things that are happening at the primary school. Some other events. We continue to do monthly awards. The kids are doing just wonderful. They excited to get these. The teachers do a great job nominating our students for these awards. One of my favorite things is I eat lunch with the principal's pride. Well, in the past, I've eaten with all 3 grades at a time. Well, this year, kind of changed things up a little bit, and I'm eating with each grade level. And going forward, COVID or no COVID, I will eat with each grade level. It's the 3 best days of my month. Every month, just get to have lunch with them. The things I learn and about school that they like, they don't like, just things about them and their families. It's a great day. So today I had lunch with my 2nd graders, so it was really good. We celebrated the 100th day of school. You can see some pictures there. We had some very old people that aged overnight, and thank goodness, whatever that cream was they used that night, they came back to school. Their regular age the next day. We collected a lot of things that were 100 of those things. This year, let me go to the next page. We also, students were given in 1st grade 50 mini marshmallows, 50 toothpicks, and as a team, they had to construct the tallest structure they could with those 100 items. They love doing that. And the next one is even our virtual students. Our virtual teachers have done an excellent job. They don't want those students to not be included in those fun events that we have. So they send home all the materials that they need to do those projects and things at home as well. Last week we celebrated Dr. Seuss's birthday. His birthday is March 2nd. And this week we continued that celebration of Read Across America with different authors that we are highlighting each day. And on Wednesday, we're going to have Pajama Day because we're going to be snuggling up with a good book. And I believe the author that day is Ezra Jack Keats that we're going to focus on. And it's this time of the year where we have to think about getting ready for the next year. So we have kindergarten registration. We have over 90 appointments already made for our event on April 14th. So we're super excited about that. And believe it or not, I think it's going to be a great event. We are able to use that e-learning day, and we have some great stations and things planned, getting to space some things out. We're going to include a bus this year so that they can see what it is to get up those bus steps because they're pretty big. And if the first day when a bus picks you up, that is going to be the first time hopefully that they get to experience that. So our team is doing a great job of planning and getting everything ready for that day. Just a few more things. 4 more days until spring break. Today was the 132nd day of school, and so that we have 48 more days left in our school year. And I just want to say a big kudos to our students, our staff, and our families because you hear on the news that there are a lot of families that are a lot of schools that are just starting to go back in person, and we've been here all year long. And I am so proud of our school for being able to do that. And so, believe it or not, after spring break, we have 44 days, and we will have this year in the books. And I'm super excited about that. Thank you all so much. Does anybody have any questions?
Tammy, so on the DLOI, from the first year kids that did it, to where they are now? I mean, can you and the teachers see a big difference?
Oh my gosh.
I mean, is it just unremarkable what they can do?
It is believable. All their math instruction is in Spanish. It's not in English. Everything they do in math is in Spanish. They have phonics, language arts is in Spanish, and they'll also get it in English. But to hear those students speak, write, read, it's amazing. It is amazing what they can do.
That's awesome. I think it's great. It's just gonna get better and better. Get more and more kids in it too.
It's exciting.
Any other questions?
I just have a question on the DLI thing. So are those kids with your 8th web numbers and all that, are they pretty much spread out the same as all the other kids as far as red, green, yellow,
Correct.
both reading and math?
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? Thank you, Ms. Gregory.
Are
Thank
you
you.
going to allow her
Thank
to
you.
go into the, report?
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Haley, I kind of incorporated it all
Yeah.
right into that so that it would all be part of there. So
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
thank you all very much.
Thank you, Ms. Gregory.
All right. Next, Mr. Gailey will recognize staff and students on achievements and accounts.
I just want to continue to give praise to our staff. I mean, we are getting ready to end our third 9 weeks, so we will be 3/4 way through the school year for a complete school year. So just continued kudos to our entire staff. So exciting news. Now I will kind of hold my time to the end for some other things I need to give updates on.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Gailey. Next, we have the Dearborn County Young Professional Representatives, Mike Cunningham and Holly Stoops, will present the LHS Maverick Challenge Awards. Socially Grown by Devin Fluman was the school level winner and regional participant. Homework Limitless by Kaya Chase, Kirsten Cross, Katie Johnson, and In the Zone Sports Shoewear by Ethan Hopper, Tanner Fox, and Joel Vugo were also honorable mention. Ms. Stoops.
Hi, can you all hear me if I
If you
wear
want
this?
to take it off since you're
Take it
there,
off?
you're fine.
Okay. Well, thank you all for letting us come here in person today. We really appreciate it. We have some amazing students to recognize behind us here. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Maverick Challenge first. I'm Holly Stoops. I'm here on behalf of the Dearborn County Maverick Challenge under the Southeast Indiana Chamber Foundation and the Dearborn County Young Professionals. The Maverick Challenge is a high school business planning competition where high school students pitch their business idea or invention before a panel of judges in hopes of being chosen the most viable business. So think Shark Tank. They compete locally against other high school students throughout Dearborn County, presenting their pitch, and then 2 more presentation rounds, including a more detailed business plan. Throughout the 6 months of competition, they meet with local mentors, speak with local business owners, and complete an online curriculum that meets Indiana academic standards that guides them through creating their business plan. After 3 rounds of local presentations, judges choose one business plan as the winner, and that winner goes on to compete at the regional competition against other participating Indiana County winners. The Columbus, Indiana Chamber facilitates the Maverick Challenge, but each participating county administers their own local challenge. Dearborn County has participated in the Maverick Challenge for 8 years now. In years past, we have had participants from all 3 high schools in Dearborn County, including a couple students who have gone on to win at regionals. Students compete for a cash prize at both the local and regional levels. This year, all participants were out of Lawrenceburg High School. We had 2 teams and an individual compete. All were from Mr. White's business class. Maverick is designed to show high school students the viability of a career in entrepreneurship through a hands-on business planning experience. It also provides them with networking opportunities, leadership skills, and helps improve the ever-dreaded public speaking skills. It is our hope that the students gain all of this and more. It is so hard as a high school student to get up before a panel of judges who are local business owners and leaders of our community to present anything, let alone a business plan. We are always in awe of the students' bravery to do this. This year's participants are no exception. We are so proud of the work they did representing Dearborn County, completing this challenge along with Mr. White's regular course curriculum. I'm going to let Mr. White introduce and recognize the students, but I first must recognize Mr. White. As you know, this is Mr. White's first year teaching this business class. When he learned of the Maverick Challenge, within the first week or so of school, starting back in August, he was eager to take it on as part of his class. The success of Maverick Challenge depends on the commitment of someone willing to be a champion of the program and someone who supports the students throughout the challenge. That's exactly what Mr. White did. As the group that administers the challenge for the county, there's only so much connection that we can make with the students. Mr. White is the person we have been looking for to be the support on the school side. He worked with me to make sure the students were on track, make sure they completed the required curriculum, allowed mentors from the community to come into his class to speak with the students, and allowed class time to perfect their presentations. All of this while completing his own class curriculum. I have no doubt this may have created double the work for him in this class, but we hope he found the challenge to be a beneficial addition to his curriculum. So thank you, Mr. White, for adopting the Maverick Challenge this year, and thanks to all the brave, bright, and ambitious students who participated. We also want to thank the staff at Lawrenceburg who allowed us into the school safely to hear presentations in person. It makes such a difference when the students can present in person to the judges and then have that immediate feedback and question and answers after the presentations. I will let Mr. White introduce the participants now. As I mentioned before, we had 3 business ideas this year and 1 idea that went on to regional competition. While we didn't walk away a winner from the regional level, all should be very proud of what they did, what they learned, and how much they improved over the last 6 months. Mr. White?
All right, well, thank you guys for letting us come in tonight. I thought it was really important when we first talked about getting Devin over here to be able to recognize all the kids for what they had done. They just, like Holly said, she explained what the Maverick Challenge entailed, and she's right, it did take over our class, but the content, the curriculum that the Maverick Challenge gave to us was really beneficial. I think after talking to Holly, there's some things we can do to improve this, and I know having some experience now doing it and seeing the kids go through this process, we can be better. So it was a lot of fun. I was able to use some of my experience before becoming a teacher, I think, to help them along the way with building their business plans. But really, they just took this on, and I knew when Holly reached out and Mr. Gailey sent me the information, I could just tell with these kids how eager they were and how much they enjoyed talking about what we were already starting to get into, that it was going to be a lot of fun. And they were just that. They were very, very eager to work on this and to build their business plans. And they had lots of questions, but their own creativity is really what got this thing off the ground, I think. So, like I said, I'm beyond proud of them. It was a lot of fun. It became one of my favorite things to do during the day, waiting for them this last period, and it was a lot of fun. So, she mentioned the public speaking. That was probably one of the biggest obstacles of theirs. And then probably the financial side of things. We had a lot of trouble with trying to figure out how do we fund these businesses and where does our money come from. And we started off with these multi-million-dollar ideas that we had to kind of scale down a little bit to make them a little more feasible. But I applaud their creativity and enthusiasm. So like she said, we had the 2 guys on the end, Joel Bucco and Tanner Fox. They were part of the shoe company that wanted to create the shoes. Their one partner, Ethan Hopper's in the play, and I guess he's Peter Pan on the stage right now, so he couldn't make it over. So if you guys want to come up, I got a couple of gift certificates. We want to thank Willie's. They donated some gift cards for the kids that participated and didn't make it on any further, so you guys got some gift cards to go to Willie's. The girls here, Katie Johnson, Kaya Chase, and Kirsten Cross, their idea was Homework Limitless, and they created an app that they were offering homework help to students of all ages, and it was a really cool idea. They got some help from outside, so they were able to do some really neat things, and probably need to incorporate a little more of the technology side of things with them next time, but we'll add to that. So this is Katie Johnson. Kaya Chase, fresh off surgery. And Kirsten Cross. And then Holly also mentioned Devin. Devin Flugman was our regional participant. He had taken his probably just a little bit further, and the one thing that I think these guys all learned a lot, was how to work in groups, and how difficult that can be. So I told them that this is something they're going to definitely see when they get out in the real world working in groups. Devin chose immediately to be by himself. He came to me right up, he said, I want to be by myself. I was hesitant to let him, because I was just worried about the workload. I see what this was going to take, and it looked like a lot of work to build this. So, as well as being able to do the things we need to do in class, and this fell within my marketing class, we taught them a lot about entrepreneurship and business principles and business plans, which didn't really relate to marketing, so we were just kind of pulling all this stuff together and making it work, and Devin just kind of took it to another level with what he had. It was something he was obviously pretty passionate about, so he did a great job when we got to that regional round. We came down here on a Saturday, we came to the high school and got into a Google Meet with all the participants, and I told Devin when he left, now that I've witnessed what that takes and what that entails, I think I can really make a difference and help them with kids that want to work this hard. So they did a great job. So Devin Fluman, we're going to let him take a little bit of a time here and introduce a little bit about what he did. And, again, I appreciate you guys for having us in here. Thank you.
I have his presentation up here that he's going to talk to you about, so it's up here on the screen too.
So how we doing tonight?
Good.
So my business, Socially Grown, is a social media marketing management company ran by teenagers, because who doesn't know social media better than teenagers? We're on it 24/7. We're using it to do stuff we shouldn't, stuff we should, just to pass time. And that's where I came up with the idea of creating a safe space for teenagers to use social media in a more productive way and to learn about it, how it works, how can you market something on it, how can you go about your daily life without seeing an ad, or where to put in an ad. So as you can see up on the screen, my company will offer reconstruction for local businesses, not physical, on social media. And then my business will also rebrand on social media, and it will also rethink local businesses' marketing plans. As you can see, I have two different packages. Package 1 at $300 and package 2 at $500, which is the more premium package. And as you can see, the 10 posts or skits for package 1, and just growing the social media presence and breaking down how they present and post on social media. And then for package 2, that was really special because I wanted to create opportunities for local businesses in Lawrenceburg to be more in tune with the community. For example, being at school board meetings, because they're in on what goes on in the community as well, whether that be on the financial side or just trying to interact with the community. That was the main idea for package 2. And then if you scroll down to the Berg Nutrition slide. And then I think what really made my business take off and advanced me to the regional round was that I had my first official client, Berg Nutrition. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's basically just an Herbalife shake shop. And so what we did is we went out and took pictures for them to post on their Instagram, and also came up with a marketing scheme to market all the way up until Christmas with Christmas-inspired drinks. Like that pink shake you can see is called White Chocolate Peppermint. And then the green tea up in the right corner is called Christmas Wreath. So as you can see, very Christmas-inspired and a perfect marketing opportunity for any business. Thank you.
Thank you. I know also they would like to be able to present an award. So I know the young professionals. I just wanted to be able to thank Mr. White for his leadership within the classroom. So thank you for leading the students in the classroom. But also with the awards, I want to be able to thank not only the young professionals of Dearborn County. Thank you. They're going to be here to present. So thank you, Mr. Cunningham and Mrs. Stoops. But also the Southeast Indiana Chamber Foundation also joined them in the presentation of the check that they're going to be giving Mr. Flume. And then also, I want to thank Steve Van Wassenhoe, who's the owner of Willie's Hidden Valley Lake. They're the ones that gave them all gift certificates for the honorable mentions and the winners to Willie. So he did that as well as on his own. So wanted to thank all of them. I don't know if you guys want to come up here on the stage and present the check, and then we can get a picture of the presentation of the check and everything, and we can post it on our social media accounts as well.
Hey, I got 2 different packages.
Let me go ahead.
Yeah, you let us, when we get out of your way, so you guys get a better picture.
Devin.
You're right.
Thank you.
All right, so we want to, on behalf of the Dearborn County Young Professionals and the Chamber Foundation, present this check to the winner of the Maverick Challenge in the amount of $2,000
Wow.
to Devin Flumen. So congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations to our honorable mentions as well.
Thank you all for coming and giving your presentation. Very interesting.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you
Happy
so
birthday, Holly.
Happy birthday, Holly. All right, now we're going to move on to the fund report, including cafeteria fund balance. This is informational only. Ms. Bailey?
There's just not much to talk about in this fund report. Everything's pretty normal. The cafeteria fund balance, of course, we have to talk about. That's still in the red. We did last Friday receive $66,410 for our February state match or reimbursement. So that helps. Just plugging away. That's all we can do is plug away a little bit at a time. The only other thing on here, which we've mentioned before, is that very last fund, the 7944, which is the FEMA grant. We're still waiting to hear from them. Hoping within the next month or so we will. They have assured us that they don't need anything from us. They have our submission and they're just going through their process.
Any questions for Ms. Taylor?
No.
All right, moving on to approval of claims. Before we get started, I want to go ahead and take a roll call of board members because Mr. Kaniga is joining us, I think.
Virtually, yes. He is.
Virtually.
He's online.
So I'm going to go ahead and start with Bob Miller. Here. Brian Jansen. Here. Regina Reinbold.
Here.
Kevin Millan.
Here.
Phelan Nance.
Here.
Mark. And myself. All right, so we're going to go on with approval of claims. Can I get a motion, please? Mr. Milan? Second? Mark Kaniga? All right. Ms. Taylor?
Again, pretty normal claims. I do want to point out one thing on the claims report that says February mini batch at the top. That's the one, the checks that we issued between the last board meeting and the end of the month. If you'll look on the second page, a little more than halfway down, you'll see a payment to TSA Consulting Group, and you'll see a fund number 4193 for $84.52. Just so you know, that's going to be changed to fund number 4195. That's a Title I federal grant. That number changes every year, and sometimes I just don't get my spreadsheets changed from last year's to this year's number, and that's what happened here. Didn't get it changed, I didn't catch it until after that had already been reported. So we'll just make it an entry to fix that once the checks are cut.
Any questions for Ms. Taylor? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Mr. Kaniga? All right. 7-0.
Can't see it.
Next, approval to renewal Lawrenceburg Community School Corporation gaming license. Can I get a motion, please? Mr. Jansen. Second. Mr. Miller. Ms. Taylor.
Not much to say about that. There's just a lot of forms that have to be signed. We actually had one gaming event this past year. It wasn't a good year to have raffles or bingo or anything like that. The PTO was able to have their raffle, but there was one event. I'm just excited because this year we're actually doing the paperwork before the license expired. And I kind of missed that last year, but we're well ahead of the curve this year, and I expect we'll have some more events this year.
Any questions from Ms. Taylor? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Mr. Kaniga?
Yes.
7-0.
Thank you.
Moving on to routine business. Minutes for approval, February 8th, 2021, regular session, as presented. Can I get a motion, please? Ms. Rybold. Second, Ms. Nance. Any corrections or any questions regarding?
If you're looking through it, you will notice because of the order, I put it in the order that we conducted business. So you may notice that we had moved some of the new business up towards the beginning. So it's all there. You just kind of got to follow where we moved it around.
All right, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Mr. Kniga? 7-0. Moving on to personnel items, employment. Can I get a motion, please? Mr. Milan. Second, Mr. Jansen. Mr. Gailey.
Included in your packets, you will see recommendations under personnel. I have DeMarco Henry for LHS Summer PE Coach, Summer of 2021. Rich Johnson, LHS Track Coach Volunteer for the 2021 season. Noah Robinson, LHS Choreographer for the Spring Musical 2021. Jennifer Elison, Musical Director 2021. Susan Herrick, Musical Director 2021. Kevin Havlin, the Musical Tech Director for the 2021 school year. Also, Jacqueline Corridor, who may be watching online, so looking, and she would be approved for Lawrenceburg Primary School Kindergarten DLI teacher. She is watching from Columbia. She'll be traveling to us from Columbia, and that will be a start of August 3rd, 2021. Also, DeMarco Henry, LHS Varsity Track Coach, season 2021 season. Kayla Williams, CES long-term sub for Miss Offutt from March 29th to May 15th. Matt Dean, GMS Assistant Track Coach for the 2021 season. Jordan Thomas, LHS Volunteer Track Coach for the 2021 season. Daniel Harm, LPS Rod IA, effective 3/29/21. I recommend those for approval.
Any questions from Mr. Gailey? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Mr. Kniga?
Yes.
7-0.
So again, I'd like to, hopefully, I know we do have 8 that are watching. So if Jacqueline is watching, congratulations on your hire as our DLI teacher for kindergarten.
Moving on to resignation, this is informational only. Mr. Gailey?
Included in your packet resignations that I've received and accepted: Sonia Heffron, GMS long-term sub cafe on 2/24. Frank Whiting, LHS third shift custodian 2/17. Abby Theobald, LHS bookkeeper 4-hour position on 3/19. Bev Hogston, LPS second shift custodian 3/12. Kim Eckstein, LPS cafeteria worker 6 hours 3/12. Gabe Gill, LHS JV baseball head coach 3/3. Bennett Blas, GMS second shift custodian 3/2. Evelyn Floyd, CES Rod IA 4/1. And Kaylee Martin, LHS assistant volleyball coach 3/5.
Questions? Mr. Milan?
Mr. Gilly, I noticed and I think it might have been on Facebook or something, we had quite a few openings, come available. It said for a CES bookkeeper and LPS secretary. There's like 4 positions.
Oh, there's more than 4.
Is there,
Yes.
are we getting some credible people applying for these positions?
We're trying to post. We're sending some of them to work one and asking work one to post them as well. So, that's all we're doing right now is we're trying to get them posted, put them on social media, send them to work one. They're through the buildings. I try to email them out. When I put that out, it hit all of our social media, so it went to all of our families, so they could see what we had open too, so that they know friends or relatives, they can spread the word.
Any other questions? All right. Moving on to transfers, this is informational only as well, Mr. Gaylor.
Transfers that have been approved: Kim Eckstein, transfer from LPS cafeteria to LPS second shift custodian with an effective start date of 3/15. Tony Cash, transfer from CES bookkeeper to deputy treasurer, effective was 3/2. She's already been in the office working with Mrs. Dudley on that transition and learning. They're doing payroll this week together. So we're doing that transition. We do have a sub over at CES filling in there. She's a familiar face, Kay Pritchett, who retired from that position, is back helping us out in that position right now. So she's helping us right now in that position.
Any other questions from Mr. Gailey? All right, moving on to retirement. This informational only, Mr. Gailey.
Retirement, we have one on the list. You have Tony Waters. She drives a bus for us, and then she's also a custodian for 2 hours, and she cleans the maintenance transportation building and the administration office. She is only retiring from the custodial piece of her position. That will be effective on July 30th. She will continue to drive a bus for us, though, which I'm super excited about that. If I could also, just with retirements, last month we had a teacher retire. We had Mrs. Dinwiddie retire from kindergarten from LPS. I just wanted to kind of keep the board in the loop of what we are doing with those positions. Right now with teacher retirements, at the elementary school, I am not looking to post those positions at this time. We will continue to wait and evaluate our numbers by the grade levels, because we have some grade levels that have lower numbers. So I don't want to turn around and post a position, because currently right now we have, we need to wait until our kindergarten roundup comes in to see what our kindergarten numbers are before we post a kindergarten position. If you remember back in 2009, through about 2012, when we started having all of the transfer students coming in, we were kind of bouncing around, having to watch every month in the summertime how many students were transferring. And it was even up until the first day of school, and sometimes the second day of school, that we were hiring teachers to make sure that we had enough to fit what we needed. But at the same time, we need to be cognitive and good stewards of the money, and we don't want to just jump and make sure that we put a teacher in there when, if our numbers end up being a little bit lower, we want to kind of watch those numbers. So that's why I just want you to be kind of, if you're like, hey, I thought we had a retirement kindergarten, I didn't see a posting, we're not going to post elementary positions until we see what our numbers are by grade levels and see that we need that many sections in there. Okay? Questions about that? Thank you.
Next, professional travel, this is informational only. Does anybody have any questions? All righty. Moving on to field trips, can I get a motion, please? Mr. Jansen. Second? Mr. Miller. Mr. Gaylor.
You have included in your packet 3 field trips I'm recommending. They're all from Mrs. Miller's class. We have Strassel's Greenhouse on 4/16, the Miami Whitewater Forest on 5/21, and Brookville Lake on 5/7. I recommend approval of all of those. They will be practicing social distancing, wearing masks when there's in those areas. It will not be in certain groups that might put them at risk.
Any questions? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Mr. Kamiga?
Yes.
7-0. Moving on to fundraisers, can I get a motion, please? Ms. Rybold?
Yes.
Second, Mr. Kamiga? Mr. Gaylor?
Included in your packet are some fundraisers. You have the LHS performance training. This is Mr. DeMarco Henry in the weight room selling snacks and supplements, March through the end of the school year. That has been reviewed by Mrs. Erb, our food service coordinator. Prom committee, cookies and candy bar sales, 3/9 to 3/31. LHS track and field, spiritware sales, 3/8 to 3/15. LHS baseball discount card sales, 3/18 to 4/2. LHS baseball spiritware sales, 3/19 to 3/29. Belinda Miller's class spring bear sales, 3/29 to 4/23. And the bands at LHS, GMS, and Marching Tigers spiritware sales from 4/5 to 4/16. I recommend those for approval.
I do have
Mr.
one,
Long?
but Mr. Gailey, on the prom, is that, what happens if they don't have prom? What goes with that money?
Last year, when money came in, it
Right.
stayed in the prom account.
Okay.
Ticket money was refunded to students, so if they paid for a ticket, their tickets were refunded, but any money that was raised from the fundraiser stayed in a prom account.
I just want people to know that.
Yes, and at this time right now, we've already had approval. The 3 school corporation superintendents in the county have already had discussions with Mr. Ellison. We've shared some of our plans of what we intend to do. I've had discussions with the high school. They reviewed it, we shared it, and he has tentatively approved our current plans that we have. So right now, there is tentatively scheduled a prom. I believe prom is it's Saturday, I believe like April 24th. It's at the event center. There will not be, in the past, there were like a buffet dinner. It won't be a buffet dinner, it'll be a sit-down dinner. So it'll be a sit-down dinner served. They'll be at round tables. They're allowing us to use the entire large room where they have the concerts. So that way the tables can be spread out in there. So it doesn't have to be side rooms, the large room. We are also looking at still trying to host a walkthrough at the new Civic Park in the city, where they'll be able to come through out of the parking garage, walk across the stage, walk down the alley behind there, and walk right to the event center and in. Obviously pending weather for the walkthrough, but all that has been tentatively approved by Dr. Ellison.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions about fundraisers? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Mr. Kniga?
Yes.
7-0. Moving on to new business. Approval of ENA as the dedicated fiber internet provider for a 60-month term, beginning on July 1st, 21, and ending on June 30th of 26. Can I get a motion, please? Mr. Jansen? Second? Mr. Miller? Any questions regarding?
This was spec'd out. It was sent out for bid. In your package, you can see those who responded to the bid package. It was vetted by 5-Star Technology for us, and they recommend the recommendation that I'm submitting. Questions?
So, isn't that what Lawrenceburg has, is it has high-speed internet?
Fiber.
Yes, yes.
It wouldn't be cheaper to go through that.
We have to make sure that ours has to connect back to the state backbone for everything. To be honest, I don't know if what they use now, they still have a provider that's providing it to them, which I believe would be similar to what we're doing here. But I know it has to be connected back to the state.
I didn't know if 5-Star had looked at that, because I know a lot of residential people that have the high-speed internet and love it, and that really have no issues with it. I just didn't know if that might be more of a cost savings to check with them before we.
I mean, I can check with 5-Star to see with them. I can do that tomorrow. So pending a review, if you want to make it pending a review. The only thing it also is at 1 gig. I don't know if they can support us at the 1 gig. Is the other thing.
I don't know anything about that stuff. That's what I was asking.
Right. So I mean, if you want to make it, if Mr. Jansen, Mr. Miller want to make it pending, that I make a call with 5-Star to them to check, I can do that.
Mr. Miller, you all right?
Yes, I'm good with that.
All right, so we'll go ahead and take a vote on that. Mr. Miller and Mr. Jansen have both made their motion pending approval. Basically, they're going to reach out to the city of Lawrenceburg tomorrow to see what options they have. And come back. If there's an option available, then we can revisit.
Right. I'll get with 5-Star tomorrow, and then we'll reach out. I'll have 5-Star reach out to the city to talk so that they understand, to see if that's even possible. And if not, I'll be able to send an email back to you guys explaining why it would not be an
My
option.
question is though, did we post this for bid?
Yes, it was.
So
We have
I
to.
mean, I understand what you're asking, but if it was posted for a bid,
Yeah, they did.
then the city could have had the opportunity
And
to.
it's probably
Bid
because
on
they
it as well.
can't keep what the need is.
with that.
Right, I can ask 5-Star, but right, we did have to put it out to bid. It was posted in the newspaper and everything for that. I don't know, the only thing that would probably differ is if they gave it to us for no cost would be the only thing that they would be able to do.
Well, if it's out.
Right, I can ask,
It was
like I
out-
said.
Well, if it's out for bid, they didn't bid it. I mean, and we can't go with, the only thing, and again, I apologize, but when I looked at, I didn't see the 60-month term on there. You know, that's my fault. You know, and I thought they, you know, tie this up to 5 years with somebody that's the only thing.
Right, and we were just finished, was it a 3-year or 5-year? We just finished with our providers.
I think it was 3, wasn't it?
Right.
Coaching, yeah.
Yeah, it was either a 3, I think it was a 3-year that we just finished with coaching.
All
But
those-
I'll do it pending that review, I'll at least see, because they were able to offer it for nothing, then I can at least ask. Doesn't hurt to ask.
So you want to go ahead and take a vote then?
Yeah, pending the review of the
Pending the
city.
review.
Right.
All right. All those in favor? Raise your hand. Mark?
Yes.
7-0. Next would be approval of resolution opposing education savings accounts and voucher expansion. Need a motion for discussion? Mr. Milano. Second? Mark Kaniga. All right, Mr. Gailey, would you like to explain this?
Yes, sorry. 1 second, I was changing batteries. There is a number of legislative acts that are going on at the State House currently, and a few of them, I would say, somewhat differ from the philosophies of public education. And a number of school corporations throughout the state have drafted resolutions that their school boards have adopted and then shared with their local legislators, the governor's office, the state superintendent of public instruction, letting them know how the local school boards feel about the legislation that's being proposed in Indianapolis and their stance towards that. And that's why I just wanted to kind of read the resolution. That way it kind of somewhat explains, and I can add in a little bit as it goes along. The resolution is opposing education savings accounts and voucher expansion. Whereas the Indiana General Assembly during its 2021 legislative session is considering House Bill 1005, Senate Bill 413, and other bills that establish educational savings accounts and expanded vouchers. And a couple points I'd like to expand upon with House Bill 1005, it is expanding the voucher limits. What it's doing, it's expanding it to 3 times the limit of free and reduced lunch levels. It is 5 times the federal poverty level. And when they first started vouchers in the state of Indiana, they touted that they wanted it so that more people would have the ability to go to and opportunities to private parochial schools, which is okay. I wouldn't fight that if they're trying to give access to other students, but expanding it to those limits, and the limit that they are putting into the bill is approximately $140,000 is the level of the household income that they're looking at, which is 3 times the median income level for the state of Indiana. So this is no longer just about access, it's about providing opportunities for the wealthy. It's giving those that were already going to pay for private school education a way to put money back into their pockets, is what it's doing. Also, whereas the board has determined that the Indiana General Assembly should not enact education savings accounts or expand vouchers, and should continue to promote and fully invest in Indiana's public schools, more specifically, to further the public good, public funds should be invested in improving the schools designed to serve all children and to aid in improving Indiana public school teachers' salaries as recommended by the Governor's Teacher Compensation Commission in its report of December 14th, 2020. So the governor put together a commission to study why teacher salaries are low in the state of Indiana, came back and said this should not happen, and it's still taking place in the legislative branch currently. Indiana already has school choice in the form of open enrollment, charter schools, enrollment virtual online schools, and the Choice Scholarship Program. Public schools are required to operate in an open, transparent way with all expenditures and decision-making. Non-public schools are not held to the same public standard. And that's what we're asking as public schools, is we are simply asking why should the private and parochials not be held to the same standards as public schools? If we're going to accept any and all students, why should the public and parochial schools not accept any and all students as well? They have the ability right now to discriminate against students. If a student walks into a private or parochial school right now, they can tell them no and deny them access to that school if they so desire. We are against that, and we believe all schools should be held to the same standards and rules. Whereas the cost of educational savings accounts and school vouchers are covered exclusively by our state school tuition support fund, further providing fewer public dollars to fund our public schools and increase teacher salaries. Whereas the board believes that the public schools provide a strong educational environment for Indiana's children, and educational savings account, if enacted, and expanded school vouchers would put this environment at risk by directing resources away from those schools to non-public schools and or home schools that are not subject to the same rigorous scrutiny for their use of taxpayer resources. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the School Board of Lawrenceburg Community School Corporation opposes the passage and signing House Bill 1005, Senate Bill 413, or any other bill expanding vouchers and or creating educational savings accounts. Approved this 8th day of March 2021. Again, those educational savings accounts that they want to give out, there's no accountability to them. There's no limits, there's no oversight to those educational savings accounts if they enact them. Also, when that money can be used for homeschooling, currently right now, there is no rules or policies in the state of Indiana for homeschooling. You simply just say you're homeschooling. They do not have to sign up with the state of Indiana. They don't have to sign up with the local school corporation. There are no rules or guidelines for them in the state of Indiana at this time. So this resolution would basically, if approved by the school board, would show your opposition to educational savings accounts and voucher expansions. What I would do if it was approved is share it with our local legislators. So I would share it with our two representatives in this area, Representative Linus, Representative Fry, as well as our two senators in this area, Senator Perfect and Senator Rotz. I would email it to all four of them so that they could see it, as well as send it to the governor's office and the state secretary's office. Questions for me on this?
I mean, does it look like it's gonna pass?
There was a Senate bill for, I believe it was 412. That one currently, right now, has died in session. But obviously, they just started the halfway point. So we just don't know right now. So basically, House Bill 1005, which is the budget bill, has gone to the Senate. So the Senate's reviewing it. They could tweak it. They could change things in it. But then it would have to be approved because it's the budget bill by both the Senate and the House. The 413, Senate Bill 413, has now gone to the House for its review and consideration.
So what senator is behind this? Does it say?
For House Bill 1005, I will say on the votes, because you can look at the votes when it was voted on to go, I will thank Representative Linus voted against it. So I will note that publicly, he voted against it. Representative Fry did vote for it, but he did contact me because I questioned him on why he did that. And he had another piece that he was trying to help out with on a different bill that he needed some support on that he was looking at.
So they tie something else into it.
Yes. Mr. Kanaga?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is very concerning, and I don't think you mentioned it. When this program started back in 2011 and 12, the initial funding was like $15 million. Currently, they're up to about $170 million. I mean, that's a lot of money that's being taken away from the public education sector. I think the public really needs to be aware of that, because that can go to a lot of other things. That's my opinion.
And that's why I strongly encourage here in our public meeting, that's why I encourage everyone in the community. If you have friends, relatives, they need to contact the representatives and senators to express their concern with these bills and how they need to vote how the constituents around here feel, not how Indianapolis feels.
Any other questions? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Mark?
Yes.
7-0. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Next would be Chromebook device replacement discussion. Mr. Gaylor.
I just wanted to share that this is our year. We're currently getting ready to put out an RFP to replace our Chromebooks. We've had our Chromebooks for 4 years now at the middle school, high school, and we are looking to replace those Chromebooks. So we just reviewed with 5-Star RFP that they've drafted. That will be published in the newspaper the end of this week and next week. It will go out to bid. The bid opening is on Thursday, April the 8th. On Wednesday, April the 7th at 11 a.m. is when the bids would be due to our office and sealed envelopes, and then we would open them the next day at 11 o'clock in the boardroom. Currently, my recommendation would be, we have in the past taken old devices and sold them to the community. My recommendation would be the current devices that students have, if they would like to buy their own device, allow them to buy their own device. Whatever is left that families do not buy, then we would sell to the community. I'm reaching out to Trinity right now Technologies, who we purchased them from, to find out what the market value is of the Chromebooks in their current condition after 4 years old, with chargers, with the cases, and depending upon what those are, I would share that cost with you. So say, for example, it came back and they said they're worth $75, then we would look to maybe sell them for like $50 to families. So I'm currently waiting for 5-Star to kind of give me what that fair market value is, but then what my recommendation would be to allow us to sell them to the students who have them right now, and then sell them to the community after that. Would that be acceptable to the board?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
Mr. Kanaga, are you acceptable to that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, that's kind of what we will look to move forward with that.
Like high school kids.
High school, it's high school, middle school
Okay.
currently,
Okay.
at this time, is what we have. We just refreshed, the CESs are only, I believe, 1 year, old. We're in our, I believe, second year there. So those would not be replaced, except for potentially one grade level, because last year we would have taken the senior ones, moved them to 3rd grade. So there might be, it might be 4th, 5th, and 6th grade might be the grades that do not get replaced. Wherever our newest devices are, would not get replaced. 5-Star has all of those inventory and knows which one will get replaced and which one doesn't.
Mr. Gilly, overall, is everybody pretty happy with the Chromebook?
I surveyed the principals. We asked the principals. The only thing that we're not going back with, which is a little bit cost savings, the current Chromebooks has a flexed hinge. Well, it will hinge all the way back. We will not have that flexed hinge. It'll still have the touch feature, touch screen. It'll still have the camera on it. It will have those features. It just won't be able to toggle all the way where it folds completely back. That's the only difference that we will have. Other than that, they will be virtually pretty similar devices that we currently have.
Great, thank you.
And with cases will be replaced too, so it's cases and devices.
Any other questions, Roberta? Moving on to citizen participation. Anybody would like to address the board at this point? Mr. Gailey, that includes anybody that's following us online there.
Let me see. Oh, just to kind of look online, I will say that
Could you please mute?
looking online, I will kind of share that Jacqueline did say that she is very excited. Thank you so much. So our Spanish teacher that we approved, she is watching online, and she said thank you. I also have another one. How much roughly would it cost to purchase the Chromebook devices that are 4 years old? That's what we're still waiting currently right now to see what the market value is of those, and then we would announce that to all of our families. So, so for the person online, we will try to get that information conveyed out once we have that information. Thank you for the question.
All right. Moving on to principal comments. We'll start off with Ms. Spade, since she's first there.
Hi, thank you so much. Okay, so it sounds like I need to tie up a few dual language items. I think we know in the spring of the year is a busy dual language time, so kindergarten team. And then on Friday, Mrs. Canega and Mrs. Lorton and myself are going to be talking to a teacher from Spain. So we're excited to explore that option. Mr. Daly and Mrs. Gregory also alluded to some videos. Because we are not going to be able to have our traditional DLI parent night where we invite families in to better understand our program, we've taken some videos and Mr. Maddox and I are working together to create it. And I think one of the biggest myths we have dealt with is our parents signed students up and thought, wow, my child is going to learn some vocabulary, they're going to maybe learn to count, they're going to learn some phrases. So we kind of took each grade progression and said, what are kids doing in these grades? So obviously K is very heavy in phonics. By the time they get to first grade, they are doing math lessons, they are reading at a level of readers, and by the time they're in second grade, I've got video footage of students reading just straight paragraphs of words in Spanish, which is fantastic with great fluency and expression. Also, I have a video of a girl that I just pulled and I said, can you just think through how you solved that story problem? And there she was. She drew out her work. It was a repeated addition problem, so a multiplication problem, and she talked about it in Spanish. So some pretty powerful videos. I know Mrs. Gregory kind of keyed in on Ames Web NWEA data for our DLI students. As part of the presentation that our LPS teachers did at Central, we also looked at data. How are those kids performing in first grade and in second grade compared to their grade level peers? And yes, we have high, medium, and low students in those classes. Our high students are high, they're excelling. Some of our low students, we are running them through the CERT process and looking at some special ed evaluations. Special ed evaluations and a diagnosis by no means say that they need to exit the program. I think a principal from Indy said it best, that oftentimes if these kids are going to struggle, they're going to struggle in whatever classroom they're in. So why not let them struggle where they're learning a second language? And in addition to expand on that struggle a little bit, when they are struggling, it's oftentimes in one area of their education. So in other areas, they're still successful and thriving. So that's been real positive. In other news, I don't know how Lawrenceburg has gotten so lucky, but we've been picked for a lot of desktop monitoring audits from the state. So I can't thank our admin team enough for providing evidence as needed to satisfy a lot of these requirements. In fact, I sent an email to Carl and Pam one day that I thought I should just yell out bingo because they need to know that we've got 5 in a row with the free spaces because we haven't audited a lot, and I think it's in part due to the fact that the DOE did run a lot of the audits last year. But other than that, we're excited for spring break. I think we almost made it 2 weeks without a COVID case, which was super exciting as well. And our staff continues to do a great job, and I appreciate the communication. I don't want to steal Mr. Daly's thunder around vaccines. I feel like our staff is really working together to find places where vaccines are available for them.
All right, thank you, Ms. Spade. Anybody have any questions? All right, moving on to Mr. Snyder.
Thank you very much. First thing I want to say is we ended up an extended week of I-STEP testing. The state was nice enough to, because of the inclement weather and some of the other situations, that they allowed us to go March 5th. So I want to thank my guidance, especially Mr. Gill, and of course Andrea had a lot to do with that. So thank you for getting those done and what we're trying to accomplish within the I-STEP testing. You know, it only involves a couple grade levels yet. We're excited about the play. We're hoping everything will go just fine and the numbers stay the same. We got the play distribution. There was a lot of conversation with the other principals. Greatly appreciate all that communication. And so now I think a lot of the kiddies are going to get to enjoy the play, and I know we're going to enjoy putting it on. Also, we're getting ready to do, I know earlier the prom was mentioned, which is great. We've We've also got two huge awards ceremonies that we've got to be involved in. We're going to have one on April 14th, and then we'll come back on May 19th and have another. We're going to use the main gym, and of course, we'll turn in all the information to Carl, so Carl can talk to Dr. Elison and to make sure everything goes fine. We ended up another athletic season, one that I thought we had great sportsmanship, even noticed it again when I was at the ball game in our first round of sectional play, helping kids up off the floor and doing some things. Sometimes that's tough to do with our rival, but yeah, we did it. And so athletics done for the winter, and now we'll pick up, hopefully spring will go just as well. That's all. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Snyder. Ms. Herbert.
Hi, yes. So we are finishing up NWEA. The majority of the kids got done last week, but we do have a handful that are finishing up this week, and we look forward to some new pathways after spring break. We are as we've been practicing for iLearn all year with some of their practice problems, but that will increase after break for our iLearn prep. 8th graders who took their PSAT ended up getting their scores back recently and being able to go over what those scores meant with Mrs. Craig. And I'm sure you've seen them out there. We had a unique 5th grade orientation opportunity. Parents were given the opportunity to come live. We also went live that night on our Facebook page, and then I also did a Loom video in advance so that they kind of knew what was coming. So we did a new tradition with our transfers from CES to us. But that does mean that GMS is in full swing with scheduling. The scheduling for 5th, 6th, and 7th graders is 6th and 7th papers were actually due last week, and 5th grade papers are due this week. So if we've got parents listening and you haven't seen those papers, please ask your children for them. And then we are also transitioning IEP conferences. We've got the 8th graders going to the high school, and we've also got the 5th graders coming to us. So we've got a lot of IEP conferences. As Mr. Snyder said, we are excited to see the play on Friday, or I guess we're seeing it Thursday actually. The kids we sent out a survey with the ones that wanted to go to the play versus the ones that wanted to watch it on a streaming platform at school. So far, we've got the majority who wanted to go see it in person are able to. We do have a wait list in case people change their minds or we have absences that day. And then currently in the gym that is right near you guys, I'm sure you've been hearing it all night, we have the girls basketball tournament, game 1 this evening. We hosted South Dearborn. I do know that we won the 7th grade game, and the 8th grade game is currently still in play. So that's what's been going on at GMS. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Ms. Herbert.
Thank you.
And Ms.
She's
Kaniga.
here.
Oh,
I thought it'd be easier than talking to you in the gym, because I am in the gym watching my daughter play, but starting for Central, first I want to thank all of you for agreeing to pass the resolution for public education that Mr. Gailey talked about. I think when he sends that out to all the legislators, I think our staff is also going to be very happy that you all are in support of us. So thank you for doing that. It's been Spirit Week at Central. Our 5th grade leadership team is trying to be very active. So sweats for the day, because we were not sweating the iRead 3 test today. We had 136 kids take the test. We have our virtual kids coming in tomorrow. I was very pleased. All of them came in last week for the practice test, and then they're all scheduled to come in tomorrow to take the test as well. I was going to talk about DLI, but Tammy and Andrea both talked about it a lot, so you can tell we're excited since everybody keeps bringing it up. We are going to get blinds over spring break, so that's exciting. Some of this winter sun and the angles have really been a little dangerous here lately, so we're excited about that. We did a fundraiser, and we're getting 3 new picnic tables in our back area, and so I think that'll be nice that we'll be able to get outside a little bit more, make it purposeful for kids to be outside with their class. And then the SEI Community Garden, they reached out to Mr. Gailey and myself, and they would like to get more involved
in that area. Back when Colleen Perfect was here, I think some of you were on the board, they wanted to do that. And then kind of hasn't really had the progress we'd like. And so Ivy Tech is going to use some of their service learning. So hopefully you'll see that here this spring, a lot more growth in the back. So any questions for Central?
Thank you, Ms. Kaniga.
Go enjoy the game.
Thank you. Yes, have a good evening.
All right, moving on to superintendent comment, Ms. Gaylor.
A few things I wanted to share. First off, a little bit related to the project. Maxwell had shared a pre-qualification list with me that they went through, kind of discussed that with me for all the different potential contractors. With that, we reviewed it. We also talked about, I shared a list from our gym project from all the different categories that we had, shared that. So some may still be added, as well as they're still waiting on a few that there are some financials before they approve them. So I want to let you know that we've been in discussions to approve that. Tomorrow is the day that 90% of the CDs are supposed to be turned in. 2 weeks from tomorrow, on March 23rd, is when 100% is due, which if that meets those deadlines, they're looking at then putting the bid packages together March 24th through April 2nd, looking to solicit bids April 5th, pre-bid meeting April 20th, bids due around May 5th. And then middle of May is when we potentially might need to have a special board meeting if all those timelines hit pace to be able to approve bids. So wanted to share kind of timelines of where we are currently with that. I did also put in your packet, you'll see just information, the current timelines that Jane Hurton from Ice Miller put together, that you can kind of see that in your packet online. Some of the things that we are also working on right now is new technology for the schools, looking at smart panels to potentially replace the smart boards and short throws. Some of those are starting to go out. Some of them are with that. We are looking to potentially go to a smart panel that will be portable on wheels. That way teachers can move them around their rooms too. I will share there is a price tag that is kind of a little hefty on that. We did budget the schools within our capital projects. We had each school budget money for those, but we're reviewing those. I know actually that Chris Maggs is here back there helping us with our technology tonight. He's been working with Promethean and Smart to be able to kind of look at their different vendors, look at comparison pricings, look at the different devices on those. But I just didn't want you to get scared that if we end up going down that road, it's about $350,000 corporation-wide of devices that we would be looking at. But as I said, we had that in our capital projects plans with the schools from this past summer when we looked at that. I sent out an email to you, Lawrenceburg Conservancy District, that I will be sending them a letter and then also attending their meeting later on this month to request and look at some of the work that's going to be done during the project Lawrenceburg Primary School. And wanted to kind of, their next meeting is on the 18th at 7 p.m. I plan to attend that. If a few of you want to go with me, you're welcome to. If the whole board was going to go, I would just need to know because we would have to advertise that as a meeting night. So let me know on that, but I plan to send that out tomorrow over to them. Also, reminder, May 14th, which is a Friday, will be our senior lunch that we always do. I want to thank Mrs. Erb. She's been working with the high school cafeteria to coordinate a lot of that. Also, with vaccines, that super excited that Walmart today sent information to Courtney Monahan, our high school nurse, that they are opening up for our staff here at Lawrenceburg Schools. And today we sent that information out. We have a number of staff that are signed up this week. They're doing mornings before 8 o'clock, after school, after 3:30. I think it's like 3:30 to 5:30 that they're having staff. I've already heard of a number of our staff that already have appointments the rest of this week to be able to go down, get their vaccine. So super excited about that we have a number of staff be able to do it. Anytime I hear information about vaccine opportunities, I try to just push it out to our staff and try to get that information as quickly in their hands as possible. Also, one of the things wanted to share that we are Mrs. Erb starting to kind of work on our summer food program. If you remember, we do our lunch program at Central Elementary School. She is working this coming summer to actually use the high school cafeteria to cook the food. She had a meeting with Mr. Richardson. Richard Richardson is the new director of the community center, and she had a great meeting with him, and we are looking to have a second site at the community center. Food will be prepared at the high school. They will then take food over to the community center because the community center kids always come to Central. So we'll take the food there, as well as think about all the kids that go to the swimming pool next door and all that. They can stop right in, grab lunch on their way to the pool. Also, we will serve out of the high school. One of the things she was trying to work on, and I give her kudos, she's working with the coaches to look at when the coaches' activities and practices end so that she can take that lunch to those kids, the high schoolers that are leaving practices and stuff, and trying to get food into their hands as well. So I want to give Mrs. Erb kudos on trying to work through our summer program and coordinate those as well. With our projects getting ready to start this summer at the high school, the high school came to me and said, would you consider allowing to have an auction maybe early May? They have some surplus things that we probably need to start getting rid of, some machinery, different things that they found in storage and rooms and stuff, and asked if they could start to put together a list. I come to you and we consider an auction. So I want you guys not to be surprised that in next month, I come to you guys and say, hey, we've got this list of things the high school would like to propose having an auction about. And so I may have that for you then next month. Also, just a reminder, spring break coming up after this week. So we have spring break the next 2 weeks. We're back on Monday, March 29th. It's a 4-day week because then we have Good Friday on that Friday. We're off on Good Friday. And then we hit the ground running for the last 9 weeks, that sprint to the finish then for our students and staff. So it's kind of it's hard to believe it's already spring break, 3/4 away. As I can't say it enough, I can't commend our staff enough.
Mr. Gailey, so, because I know the high school project's our biggest project, it's not gonna interfere with like the because I know cafeteria is gonna be some of the project and everything. I'm sure you already checked with Max on it, make sure they're gonna be doing it during the summer.
We've, over the past few weeks, we've been having coordination meetings. So Mr. Schneider, Mr. Johnson, myself, Mr. Ferguson have gone over, sat down with Maxwell. We've started talking about the phasing planning. High school's already started talking with their staff about how we can move staff to like the Ox Gym to set up places, to other locations and build in the building. So we've already started talking about that phasing and where things will be. So those are all things that we are working on right now. Cafeteria will be an area, I believe that will be last that will be touched, and it will potentially be in the summertime that they'll be able to kind of handle that in the summertime.
Okay, great. I just wanted to.
Yeah, cafeteria won't be impacted from a negative standpoint of utilizing it. We are working around all those things. The nice thing is phase 1 and phase 2 would be the 4th floor and the 2nd floor. So the 2nd floor, which is our science, they're on the 4th floor now, but they go to the 2nd floor. We're looking at having those two, the 4th floor and 2nd floor, done within the first year. And then that way our science department's only displaced from labs for 1 year. They're still looking at setting up some portable labs in makeshift areas, but they would only be displaced from their classrooms and areas for 1 year, and then we'll get them right back into their new classrooms and labs.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Mr. Gailey? Moving on to board comments, we'll start with our board representative, Ms. Lorton. Is she on?
Is Miss Lorton on, Ashton? I know she's in the play, so she may be over there, kind of really there. I know right now they are in the meat of it of getting everything done, so she's probably at play practice.
Mr. Miller?
No comment.
Mr. Jansen?
No comment.
Tribal?
No comment.
Ms. Nance?
No comment.
Mr. Kaniga?
Oh, Mr. Kaniga, are you still on? I see his name there.
Mark, are you on? All right, we'll go to Mr. Milan.
The only thing I want to say is congratulations to the young men and women today on their projects that they did. Devin, the socially growing, it was incredible. How these kids could think of this stuff. And, something we never thought about, but we didn't have social media either when we were growing up. So, but thanks everybody, and have a blessed and safe spring break.
And I have no comments. Mr. Kaniga, are you still on or not?
Sleep.
All right, and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, everybody, for your attendance. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night. Okay, thanks. Battery?